and we are going to go lie down, please. The lie down setup. The main idea here, I probably don't have to yell now that I have the earbuds in, is the lying down setup is kind of the same spiel I was giving you a moment ago, all about the sukha, right? First thing we're going to do is just create some space for what the yogis call prana to flow a bit, to open our hearts a bit, which connects us to anahata and heart. So one for the folks, the usual crowd might just take a blanket, open it up once, do a trifold. A few of you might know already, because the upper back, the thoracic spine, is the tightest part of the spine. So once again, less is more here. But where this is going is just above, just right up to, actually a good landmark is your armpits. If the top of the blanket is right at your armpits, it's probably catching about 2/3 of your shoulder blades, and your shoulders can roll back a bit. As you do that, please cup your head, both lengthen with a little bit of traction with your hands, but also with their feet flat, press your feet down and really not only bump your tail under, but feel that you actually have the ability to actually take your pelvis a little bit further away. Even if that's incremental, you're going to take that. And so the idea is we're just making ourselves as long as possible in the back body. And this is a good place to check as you get this part of the setup, is just taking a moment and keeping the hands, with your hands now on the floor and your head in your hands, as a way to just let upper back adjust a little bit. And as I invite you, we'll keep working this Vushoka meditation we've been playing with, is inhale, is moving in through the nostrils and down into the pelvis, like a nurturing nectar. Take your time, really let belly get full. And then exhale is just this nice sense of lift up into your heart. And really open yourself to the fullness of exhale, because we've taken the spine in a direction where it might have a little initial resistance. So that exhale is the energy of trust and grounding and settling. Open to the power of exhale and grounding and settling, relaxing your back and your jaw and your brain. Inhale is like a nectar that is filling and nurturing, fortifying pelvis and into belly. Exhale is lifting up at heart. And once again, less is more on the back bend front. I hope I'm not being too redundant on that. Is some of us might know that we want to keep that little bit of propping that the hands are giving us. Some of us at this point could just slide our hands wide. Some of us might need to take a moment and adjust. Make sure we're not in too much heart opening here. Eyes are closed with the downward gaze into heart. Inhale is moving down into pelvis, the sense of expanding and nurturing. Exhale is just a sense of lift and lightness, reaching up towards heart. Feel the weight of the back of your head. Feel that there's relaxation available at the root of your tongue and even in the lower row of your teeth. The next time exhale happens, just feel that letting go energy also happening in brainstem, in heart. Feel the weight of your heels, the whole earth supporting you. that steady energy of earth, Muladhara chakra. Breath pattern remains the same, but allow your awareness to move into Manipura at the navel center at your spine. Feel a golden flame, almond shaped. Just take a moment to acknowledge the sacred fire of you on this beautiful day so filled with growth, and nature waking up all around us. Feel this sacred fire as the energy that has been behind all of those desires and achievements in this journey of you. From the first inhale to lifting yourself up on your feet the first time. Honor your strength and your power. As you move yourself to Anahata, the first three chakras, earth, water, and fire, are said to be where 90% of our suffering is, kind of where we really live. Manipura, the fire center, is said to be our physical center. But as we move up to Anahata, it's said to be our spiritual center. Anahata literally means unstruck sound. To me, a clear recognition of the potential energy, the resource that is love, is freedom and trust. Allow those exhales that are rising up out of pelvis to move into heart. Feel the brightness and power and beauty of heart just expanding, just by recognizing her. I'm aware of the space between your eyebrows. Feel the seat of consciousness, that part of you that's hearing my voice, that's able to be aware of yourself. With consciousness at the eyebrow center, just look down into this remarkable you. And as we come together today to support ourselves through these practices, through this ancient tradition, we come from a place of simply opening to the resources that are available right here, right now, in this moment. Steadiness and strength of earth, the focus and willpower of fire, the freedom of heart. Bring them all together and feel them in this simple breath we're using. Inhale down into pelvis, fortifying that sense of earth, steadiness and safety and home. Exhale, moving us up into the fire and into the heart. When willpower and heart are connected, you are a truly awesome expression of nature and spirit. Take a moment, take a breath into the whole you. Let go of fixing or getting it right or figuring it out. Today, we just open to what is. Let's stretch our arms up, and still in the same gentle back bend, just stretch your arms up towards the ceiling. That's just like you're trying to reach for something that was just out of your reach. Stretch your fingers up towards the ceiling so your upper back rounds out a little bit. Take your hands a little bit wider to take advantage of our upper backs. I've gotten a little more supple, I hope. Draw your arms into the sockets. Press them all the way out again, reach up towards the ceiling. And then come halfway back. Some of us, it'll be better to keep the hands wider, but if shoulders are pretty happy, hook your thumbs together. Inhale the arms overhead. Stretch out through your legs. Reach from your tailbone to your heels. Pull your shoulder blades down as you stretch back towards the floor. But stop wherever body says. Breathe through you to both ends. And exhale, just bring the arms down. We're just going to come back to feet flat. Press your feet down, just constructive rest. And even though we chose a real gentle back bendy thing here, we're going to be a little mindful in coming out of this. This sometimes can be a little deceptive. So come back to constructive rest. That's just where your feet are flat. You're going to bump your hips over to the left and then roll to the right. Take your left arm over, use your right arm as a little pillow. We're just going to pause there and take a breath into your heart. Worst case scenario. Going to pause there, and we're just going to slide the roll away, and we're just going to roll ourselves back onto our backs, back into constructive rest. Pause there. Inhale now is moving down into pelvic floor. Exhale is just reaching up towards heart. And now we're going to start to add some movement with the breath. And remember, the idea here is that ease piece. We're going to fire it up in a few different ways in a little while, but this part is all about that heart quality, opening the flow of prana. So a nice technique, I want you to keeping this directed breath flow, but a nice technique could be to use samavritti here, to just go ahead and give your next inhale a count. Just count the length of your inhale internally. Count the length of your exhale. If those numbers don't sync up, then just use those as a reference to find the number that's most in the middle. And we're just using mind to create a timekeeper here, a 1-to-1 ratio. Connect it with the meditation. Inhale the directed breath. Inhale, you're just counting it out, really letting sits bones widen out. Exhale is just free. Let exhale have this organic quality, but just count the length of time and feel yourself moving your awareness with it all the way back to heart. If the samavritti is a little bit of a newer technique for you, you might want to give yourself another minute just to kind of let the rhythm. There can be a little mental rigidity that comes with it, just like with these practices. Is you just want to really find that place where it's flowing, where mind has this role. It's a little automatic, not that you're not doing. But for those of us who have that rhythm and are probably a little more familiar, the next practice is the exact same idea. You're still doing the samavritti, you're still directing the breath. But next time inhale starts, you're just going to take your right arm up. Head stays heavy as it rolls into the left. The ideal here is at the top of inhale, your arm and head are as far as they're comfortably going to go. And then you're going to exhale with the count or the intention for evenness. And the ideal is that action, that simple action, is just undone at the bottom of exhale. The next inhale, your left arm would come up as your head slowly turns to the right. Jaws relaxed, back body is heavy. Exhale is just undoing that action, so just one arm is in motion at a time. Inhale, right arm goes up, left, so we're just moving back and forth. And although on one level really simple, on another level not easy to get what we're looking for here. So big compassionate space. In fact, that's the whole point of the process practice. And the ideal is we're finding this place where the movement is a reflection of the breath, and the breath is very clearly informing the movement. So we're just keeping it going. Like a meditation in motion. Intention to open heart. Try less. Enjoy the flow of it. Just keeping your gaze internal, staying with it. If it gets chunky or you get bound up, we're working a few layers here. You can let a layer go. And remember, you can always just pause and constructive rest and simply work the Samavriti, which is the using mind as timekeeper. Just balancing for mind and nervous system. Folks who have been working with me in the more therapeutically oriented classes, this is kind of interesting because this is like the very original therapeutic yoga. And what we've been working in those therapeutic classes is the latest research all shows if we can give ourselves interesting forces, unusual forces into the body when our nervous system is in a quieter space, that's where body really has its greater potential to heal and balance. Although the yogis are working on a few different levels here, it's kind of interesting that these same tools came together. We're going to bring it down so the next time, no rush at all, your left hand comes down, you're just going to pause. We're going to work a little dynamic bridge next, but before we get there, we're just going to let body know and remind ourselves of some of the fundamentals of bridge. Shrug your shoulders up towards your ears. Roll them maybe just a smidge underneath your back, the shoulder blades. Palms can turn up. Do put a little more emphasis on this first one on pressing the center of the back of the skull down so there's an unquestionable quality of tone in the upper back and shoulder blades. Squeeze an imaginary block between your inner thighs. Spread your toes a little bit on lift off. As you inhale, lift your pelvis up, but instead of pushing your pelvis way up, pause before it's all the way and lift your chin a little extra. And instead, remember that power of anahata, the power of heart. Take a breath into heart, press your feet isometrically away. Allow your heart to lift more, but chin stays open. Shit. I think I have a problem. Manager at willowstreet.com. Am I good? Sorry, we're still in Bridgeport. Sorry, I thought I had technical difficulties. I'm not sure. Exhale, come on down, yogis. I think we're good. Sorry, okay. False alarm. I don't know what happened. All right, yogis. That's a tricky new universe. All right, so where we're heading next is now, we got bridge pose. So that was just to remind us of the key actions in bridge. So we want them to be, we're still in this sukha, this joyful space approach, and being as honest with ourselves as we can with that. So we want to remind ourselves of those bits to take care of our bodies, of course, in bridge, but the ease is the main thing. That last one was a new one for you. Work that a little bit. Or if low back is not up for this next, that last one is also a good one to play with. The way we're going to go, if all systems are go, you're hugging in all the same stuff, but now inhale is going to lift you up into bridge. Arms are going to go up overhead. Exhale is going to bring you all the way back down. Once again, kind of really simple, but a little more challenging. If we plug in that same intention before, as you can feel, of course, much bigger muscle groups are engaging. So the gripping and the fire that can inhibit some of that flow and freedom. So where's the sweet spot? What if you were just to squeeze your feet isometrically together with the inhale as you lift it up, heart lifts up, chin lifts up. You enjoy the brightness, the top of inhale. Enjoy the grounding and the clearing as your groins get deeper, that moment where sacrum and hands land, bottom of exhale. So we're just being in the flow of heart, embodying our breath with movement, opening to what I'd like to call in class, I guess we're in class, our true X power, our true superpower, right? Is the powers that come with heart. If you're watching me, I'm doing a horrible demo because I'm totally faking the breath, right? Stay right inside, be with the breath. Jaws relax, the folks who are in the nice rhythm. Where's their greater elegance? Like layers of an onion, right? There's always a little more striving or doing. There's always a little more refinement. Not so much to get it right. There's a technique, of course, but to help access the resources that are available now, that are your birthright. Next time you exhale down, we're going to pause. Thinking of Susan R. as I'm telling myself I'm taking too much time with this. From here, Susan, I swear we're going to get to that strap. Draw your knees up, give yourself a squeeze, yogis. Roll to a side. We're going to maneuver right around. You might want to put some, we are going to do a few things here on all fours. Depending on your floor, you might want to pad your knees a bit. We're going to stay with the same bit for just 3 more little things. And the next one, not surprisingly, is just good old Chakravirkrasana. Smooth exhale. Let it be super simple. Elbows drop down, heels of the hands pull back a little bit as you fall back. Exhale. Inhale could slide you back up. So the Samavritti, I failed to mention it as I should have in the last one, but that internal count can be a really nice way, even though there's a few other things going on, to actually kind of help mind find the rhythm, kind of get on board with this sukha idea. Falling back, how hollow can belly be? Modifications here, of course, doesn't matter how far your bum falls back. It could be more like a polar bear pose. We've been putting a little more emphasis on the bandhas, and so this would also be, and folks who have been working with them, I'm not going to put a bunch of time into them. There's a nice online class that was on our YouTube site if you want a little more bandha information between now and the next time. But folks who are familiar, Mula Bandha and the Jaladhara Bandha can be really helpful here on exhale. That toning in the pelvic floor and the little chin lock. Mostly just be in the flow. Let your gaze stay internal. Be present to the opportunity of heart. Next time you slide up to all fours, you're just going to pause. Preparing for a downward facing dog, you're going to ground down to the knuckles of the palms, melt your heart a bit, look up. Just press right from here, press back into dog, and then most of us probably walking a little bit longer. And then we'll keep that same kind of level of sensitivity and kind of this nurturing approach to practice, even as we say good afternoon to our hamstrings, maybe walking them out a little bit. And then we'll bring it together here in dog, and you come out at any point, of course. Bend your knees, squeeze in, lift the sits bones way up, full stretch like a pup stretching in the morning. Squeeze in more through the heels, spread your toes enthusiastically. Start to press your legs a little straighter. Where's that kind of sweet spot where hamstrings and low back are getting a similar stretch? Inhale yourself forward into plank. Pull your ribs in more. Pull more in through your heels. Exhale, bringing your knees down. We're falling back. Child's pose. My tech advisor warned me about the ear pods falling out. From here, we're in child's pose. Back to the breath. This is a lot of layers, so find the place, sukha at ease, remember. Let's just pause here in child's pose and just reestablish breath moving down in the pelvis. Exhale is just reaching up towards heart. Next inhale, we're going to lift ourselves up onto our knees. And with that inhale, you're going to bring your arms all the way up. Ideally, it'll take a few flows to get there. Your thumbs are going to touch at the top of inhale. You're going to exhale, Uddiyana Bandha. You're going to pull the belly way back. Keep your heart long. Come all the way back down. Your pace, smooth and steady. That internal count might be helpful. Inhale is taking you all the way up. Exhale, arms are going back behind you. Heart's reaching forward a little bit. Belly's going long. Inhale is bringing you up. It's going to change after this one. We're going to do it the same way. Inhale all the way up. Exhale is taking you back. Hollow out the belly. This time as you inhale up, you're going to exhale and twist to the left and allow your arms to slide out to the sides like you're like double hitchhiking. Inhale is slow and steady, is going to bring you back up to center. Exhale is going to twist you open to the right, be wide across your collarbone. Inhale is bringing you back up. And so now we're back to the coming all the way back down to the child's pose. Let's do that 3 times. That whole flow. Your pace. Inhale is bringing you up. Exhale, you're twisting open to the left. Reach across the arms. Inhale is bringing you back up. Exhale is twisting you open to the right. Exhale takes you all the way back down to child's pose. Watch out for the momentum. That's one of the opportunities in this practice. The movement is going to want to get ahead of the breath. Let those little pauses in child's pose be a moment just to quiet down, be extra clear the best you can that you are not shortchanging exhale. And after that third one, let's finish the one we're on now. That's the way I'll say it. So that should leave you in child's pose. Just going to pause, feel your heart. And the last of our little Vinyasa stir our hearts and activate our prana bit of class is this one is super simple as well, is going to be to well, let's start in table position. Slide up into table. Heart melts. Let me get this right. It is next exhale, and I'll just talk this through. Some of you will already know this one, so you just run with it. In the same vein we're working. The folks who are less familiar, I'll just talk it through a few times, and it's really super simple. Is exhale is going to take you back into dog. And you're going to use that exhale to set up your dog. So just like we reminded ourselves of some of those actions. And now the inhale that follows dog is kaya stira. You're actually just going to let your dog be still for that inhale. And then exhale is just as slow as steady. You're going to exhale all the way down into child's pose with the Chakravirkrasana, so with a really deep belly contraction. Inhale is also, because it's only this journey from child's pose to table, so really take it slow, really be conscious. That's back where we started. That was the whole flow. Exhale. exhale is going to take you back to dog, where you're going to use that exhale to lift your sits bones and activate your legs, and you're just going to be still as you inhale, just satisfied with your form. Exhale, you're going to empty down into child's pose, really drawing in belly, maybe some other bandhas if available. Empty out completely. Inhale is sweet and steady and is simply sliding you up towards table. And as you get to the table, use that inhale to also a little preparation for dog, right? Ground down to your knuckles, melt your heart. No unnecessary striving. Exhale takes you back to dog. One steady inhale in dog. And all of these practices, and there's many more of these, are kind of interesting because in a sense, and this is always true to a certain degree, but they're particularly true of kind of being their own test, right? Like, not that it's a perpetual motion machine, but there's a place to play in here, to find a rhythm in here, where it's a little self-sustaining, where that kind of heat, where the freedom kind of taps you into some other energy. So that's an interesting place to play with these techniques. Gary Krafsow is the person who is the modern source of these teachings. Remember, you can pause at any point in child's pose. I'm just going to give us just a little more space here to work this one. Be the breath, be the heart, following the call of heart, following the rhythms of breath, knowing that's your in to body, to nervous system, to mind, perhaps so much more. Nice. And we're actually going to, unless your body's telling you otherwise, we're going to meet up in dog. The next time you're in dog, you are just going to walk yourself back into Uttanasana. So just walk your hands back so you're in standing forward bend. It's easy to go a little bit ragdoll there, but choose not to. Create a feeling in your legs as if you were going to jump forward. Put a little bit more of an engagement, plug in some of that good willpower that brought us together today, and just create some engagement. Squeeze into the midline so you feel your inner thighs are perked up, and notice how that stabilizes all the way up into sacrum and pelvis. From here, lift and spread your toes. Best of your ability, reach your big toes in towards one another, reach your little toes out to the sides. Notice how that activates your arches, but also with your toes really enthusiastically lifted up, notice if there's any sickling in the feet. Is the weight even on the balls of your big toes relative to the balls of your little toes? So you can balance that out pretty quickly. I did not see Sherry here, but we'll honor her with this pose. Bump your hands to your hips, sit down into an imaginary chair. Take a quick gaze down, make sure your legs are like train tracks, parallel. Hands can stay on hips here. If low back is working harder than you want, hands can even go on knees. A lot of us in this crowd, it's just going to make sense to go ahead and take your arms up. Watch out though, as the armpits go back, the ribs are going to want to pop. See if it would be useful to pull your ribs in, lengthen through your tailbone into your heels. Feel this nice quality of tone and power. Oh, there is a Sherry. Hey, Sherry, didn't see you. We're doing this pose, Sherry, in honor of you. From here, anchor from tailbone to heels, stretch on up into Samastitihi. Notice just how natural the back bend wants to come, that the thighs might just want to drift forward. Take them back a little extra. And stretch up to your thumb tips, bring your palms together. Let's just bring it all the way, the hands down. Release your hands and go ahead and step up to the top of your mat. And so how am I doing on my screen in here? Susan R., do you think I can teach Agnisara on the interweb? So this next one, so we're changing gears. We're going to create a little more heat and also consciously, so hopefully a little more open and free in heart, a little more pranic energy flowing enough. I'm cutting off my own head, aren't I? that happens, is so this next one is, once again, another one a bunch of you guys know. We've activated and we've opened up this area a bit. This is, without getting too theoretical, this is what's called a Kriya practice. It's all about stirring the Agni being digestive fire, but also all those other expressions of fire and willpower. The quick version of this lesson is this, I'm going to take a really full breath into my belly. And then as I exhale, I'm going to drop down into kind of an Utkatasana with straight arms, and I'm going to exhale all that air out, and I'm going to pull my belly way in. So what I did was, it's that same Uddiyana Bandha we've been working with, it's that same idea, it's the same action. I'm exhaling fully, I'm doing that deep contraction. I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but I was trying to point out my sternal notch. I knew I had changed my internal pressure because I did that contraction, that exhale so strong that I could feel that the base of my throat was like pulling in a little bit. So that will take a little bit of practice if it's newer for us to access. There's lots of good reasons and why that's extremely healthy. And then once I'm in that negative pressure, you saw I was just holding the breath out and I'm pumping my belly. And then as I'm pumping the belly, body will say, I really want to breathe now. It won't sound exactly like that, but you'll recognize it. And so when body lets you know it's time for a breath, you're just going to inhale. You heard me do it probably. The inhale is just going to fill you. You're just going to pause. You're just going to feel that energy. If it's a new practice, and especially if you have any low blood pressure stuff, this can be really good for that. But then we just want to be careful you don't pass out. So be a little conservative. All right, yogis, please. I'm just going to, so I think the way we'll do it, please check in. This is a little more specific avenue, I realize, if I'm losing you. But if we're feeling okay, let's just give it a try. Let your stance be a little bit wider. What can be useful is to just take a little bit of a bigger breath. Inhale up. And then exhale, you're like you're sitting down into a seat. Really press the breath out. I'm taking it. You're pressing all the breath out. You're pulling the navel way in and up. You're finding that place. And you can see how my arms are. My spine is just long. I'm really supported. And now with that emptiness, you're simply, the breath stays out the whole time, and you're pumping belly in and out. And it's interesting because in this one, you're actually, a lot of these don't really ever push the belly out. This one, we're looking for the full, distend your belly, take it all the way back in. I hope that was obvious in my demo. And then at any point, including now, you're just going to inhale. You're going to bring yourself up. You're just going to let the breath adjust. Might be a nice place to just let all practice go and just feel. But as always the case, no matter what medium we're sharing these tools with, is that we have a different range of practitioners. So if this is a newer thing, and also good time for questions if I'm losing you as you try to plug this in. But as the group, with you guys, the invitation now is we're just going to give ourselves just a couple more minutes here. So just give yourself a few rounds. You're going to exhale, you drop. Notice how long my spine is. So the weight is really in my legs. Exhaling fully, emptying it all out. You're holding the breath out, you're pumping. Letting that energy just build. Don't let the willpower, my best willpower quote is from the Upanishad, the only true friend of the self, only true enemy of the self. So don't let it be a test of breath hold, just be in the practice. I mentioned it a little bit at the beginning, the Agni is not only the energy of change and growth and all expressions, but it's the energy of assimilation from a being you didn't soak long enough to a tricky thought or circumstance. Awesome, you guys. Let's Oh, we should. Let's let this, the folks still working it, do maybe give yourself one more round. Folks who feel they've had enough, you can just pause and feel. And we are just gonna flow just a wee, too much, Miller, a wee little bit. So now we freed up the prana, activated a little heart and freedom, and now we have stirred that seat of willpower at our physical center, Manipura chakra, the city of gems. If you're not at the top of the mat, come on up to the top of your mat. Thighs are going back, tail slides down. Remember, like, we're just going to do a little vinyasa piece here, so please modify or pause me and give me a shout out if you need a modification. Root down from tailbone to heels, just good old Surya Namaskar. A, inhale, stretch it up towards sky. Notice when you choose to move into the back bend though, right? So instead of curling back, become aware of pelvis wanting to go forward. Root down into tail, open up your hands, and then curl into your shoulder blades, curl over them. Spin your fingers in, hug your heels in and lift your heart straight up. Be brighter. Take advantage of this resource you're activating and share it. Now more important than ever, exhale all the way forward, returning inside. Another expression of that sharing is a really liberal pranam, meaning you're going to bring your hands up higher than you need to. Long spine, tail reaches back, groins reach back. Exhale is turning you inside. Fingertips to the sides of the feet. Step your right leg back, lunge. And here in lunge, square it off from your front heel, pull back. From your back heel, pull forward. Feel your ability to pool strength at the base of your spine. And then from that strength, get bigger. Reach through your back heel, slide your heart forward. Find your breath. We can even remind ourselves as we work this lunge a little bit that that same breath pattern that we established early on is still available. Let's enhance it. Inhale down into pelvis, exhale. Feel the exhale just reaching up and extending through crown. We're stepping it back into plank. Gonna pause here a little bit in plank. Thighs lift up a little more than feels right. Ribs draw in, press the floor away from you. Feel an total engagement of the core as you slide your heart forward, reach to your crown. Don't lose the core, soften the heart a bit. Knees can come down at any point, yogis. Exhale, slowly start lowering down through chaturanga. Knees drop at any point. We land. You're going to slide your hands wide for a cobra modification, wider than your mat and forward of your mat. With your fingertips down, shrug your shoulders and press down into your knees in the front of your feet. Shrug your shoulders up, lift your shoulders in your head. Come up into this wide arm version of cobra. So you're pulling your heart through. Watch out, your feet are going to want to come up. So feel that there's this connection of tailbone into knees, into feet. Do less lift with your hands and use this wide space like you're trying to pull yourself forward, draw back into your elbows. And then still in the same position, isometrically, like you're holding two big stuck dials. Turn these imaginary dials away from each other. What we're looking for here is that you're broadening out the tops of your shoulder blades and drawing the bottom tips in. If all of that made sense, then melt your heart. And then let's actually inhale out of the pose today. So inhale and traction your heart longer. So you're gonna have the intention of placing your heart a little bit further down than you lifted it up. Folks are feeling really strong and it's just available. Please feel free to press right back into dog. The other way to go, and the modification I really like for really being conscious about the core, is here on belly. Bend your knees, pull your ribs in, and from that rib engagement, press back with a stable spine into table position. Curl your toes. Then we're all, of course, just met up in dog. Let's work our dog poses a bit. Find your index finger knuckles. Press down into Mama Earth and feel how that just activates that earth energy in you. No denying this connection. Bend your knees, sits bones get a little juicier. Lift the sits bones up. Yeah, get deeper into the groin. Feel that if you power up your legs, which are an expression of earth energy, especially, believe it or not, your little toes, spread the little toes and feel how that's stabilizing all the way up into your hips. Let's see, we are stepping up with your right foot, please. For the other half of lunge. And we're keeping it pretty fundamental in lunge, just this choice to draw into the best part of ourselves, this conscious choice to use that resources of fire and heart to support ourselves, to feed a little steadiness and safety in the body. Do just that. Right hip jaws back, left hip jaws forward. Feel your ability to pool strength at the base of your spine. Awesome, guys. Root down into your front foot, step it on up. We're back to Uttanasana. Let's just pause here. Once again, don't turn your legs off. Find that same willpower, giving yourself this sense of strength and engagement, like you were going to hop forward with a little bit of extra inner thigh engagement. And then just hold your own elbows, like you're framing your head. Keep that little squeeze between your heels. Susie calls this Ganesha pose, which is just rock the elbows side to side. So just take a moment, literally looking inside, just to receive this little bit of fire we're stirring, or whatever the level of fire you're experiencing is probably a better way to say that. Sit down into your heels and feet, stretch it right up, Utkatasana. And remember, you are in charge of the intensity here. Some of us, that fire piece, as we've shifted here, feels just right and perfect. It's steady and clear, so you're going to go a little deeper. You're going to draw in a little more. Others of us might come out a bit. Find the place where the breath is smooth and even. Mind is available for feeling. Inhale is going to bring you back up. Your ground in the thighs, back into the physical body. Going to bring your hands together into a temple position. Exhale is going to bring you down to prayer position. Let's pause there, palms together, elbows wide. Let your eyes close and just connect to your peripheral vision. Take a breath into your inner ears. Release your hands. Turn the palms out. Get a little more fluid this time. Right up into Urdhva Hastasana. Back bend though, no pelvis pushing forward. Curl back. Maybe even shine a little more brightly. Feel how it all works together. Use willpower to fire up your legs. Heart gets more bright. No part of us operates independently. Exhale all the way forward. No locked out knees. Turn all the way inside. Empty the breath completely. Pranam. Slide your heart forward. Tail lifts up. Exhale is taking you back inside. Left leg is stepping back. Lunge. Right hip is drawn forward a bit. We're going to take this right into a twist. Right hand is coming to right hip. Ball of big toe is pressing down. Find the scissoring action in your legs, which reminds me, Terry Gann's back on the schedule. Check her out on Thursday. Totally got that line from Carrie. Carrie Gann. From here, stretch from crown to heel. Turn your heart open. If your front leg is real stable and the ball of the big toe is pressed down, then take it a little bit further, stretch up, reach across your collarbones, turn your heart open to the sky. If that's a little less available, keep your gaze down. Everybody bring it down wherever you are, stepping right back, plank. And we're going to go a little more classic vinyasa here. So as you exhale, knees could come down, ribs could drop down, or some of us might feel warm enough just to go right to chaturanga into up dog. Others of us come down, maybe a little pause in cobra. The up dog folks, as you're ready, of course, you'll press back into dog. Other folks might want to come forward, ground through the knees, really more deliberately access the core. We're all going to meet up in dog. Looking good, the new gents. Nice, Kathleen. Everybody, nice dogs. All right, it is left leg that is stepping up for our other twist, other half of the twist. Take a moment, make sure knee ends up over ankle, square the hips extra. Right hand is staying down. Left hand is coming to hip. Pause. It's easy to kind of lose the foundation in this one. So ball of the big toe, that scissoring action is going to all just need to be set. And it's from that that we're going to turn ourselves open. Check out where your head is at. And then maybe stretching the top arm up. Folks who are doing the arm, press it a little bit forward like you're giving someone 5. And see if that gives you a little more rotation. Kristen, try pulling your right knee in towards your heart, your front knee towards your heart. Exhale, everybody unwind. Ground down to your front foot, step it up. Uttanasana. Back being a little reverent to the earth. Let your fingers touch her. Feel that connection. Feel the plane of contact between your heels. As your brain relaxes, feel earth supporting you. We're just going to come up through it. You're going to sit down into an imaginary chair. Hands will go to hips or to the sides of the ears. And we're simply from that good earth connection, tailbone to heels, you're going to straighten your legs, but also mindfully slide the thighs back a little more. Palms come together. Exhale is bringing you back down to heart. Pause, breathe, feel. Last little flow, hips version. Exhales, releasing your hands, palms are turning up. One more Urdhva Hastasana to make this one really extra bright. Protect your low back by hugging into the midline, curl back. It's a discipline and it's an art. Express some art. Exhale all the way forward. Empty out, feel your belly hollow. Inhale, super liberal pranam, shoulders lift, heart lifts, tail lifts. Exhale takes you back inside. Look up as you step your right foot back. Going Parsvo variation here, or all the way Parsvo Konasana, of course, is available, is you're going to spin your back, your right heel in. Down, what would that be? To your left. And then from there, your choices could be, left hand could stay on floor, of course, or you could bump up, which might make sense in the, how much we've gotten into this plane, is forearm can come to thigh. So regardless, right hand is coming to hip. Create a magnetic attraction between your feet. Feel the soles of your feet and squeeze them in. Willpower, engage consciously, feeding stability. Stability is the platform for a more open heart. Do just that. Turn your heart open. Stretch your top arm up. Gonna stretch it long, intense side angle pose. Yeah, awesome, you guys. I got some good camera angles on this one. Exhale, unwind. You're spinning it right back down into lunge. Step it back. So from lunge, we're going to have that same vinyasa choice. You're going to step back, listen to body. So remember the real classic is dropping down through chaturanga. Inhale, pulling yourself up, dog. Exhale is back. But you guys all have tools to make that really different. Cool, and we're just gonna meet up in dog. And we're not doing full pigeon, but we do wanna, I do wanna get us a little bit into the external rotators, which we haven't done today. So we're gonna add a little extra pose here. So we're all in dog. We've got that other side of Parsvo still to do. But what we're gonna do is bring your, think pigeon pose, bring your right knee close to your right wrist and work your shin bone a little more forward, but we're really just gonna kind of bring ourselves down into a pigeon prep. So bring your front leg into pigeon. Of course, the reminder there, the more your shin bone is forward, parallel to the front edge of your mat, the more you're gonna be asking of your glutes, and also the more you're gonna be asking of your knee. Listen to knee first, keep your toes active. And assuming we're there in some version of that, we're just going to kind of pause here a little bit, rock back and forth, and just get a little bit into those right glutes. And then you'll probably get that little bit of a kind of letting you in a bit. And then at that point, if that's not obvious, back it off a little bit and just catch up with me here, which I'm going to ask you to pull your knees both isometrically together, and at the same time, could you press them down? You kind of feel this kind of specific core engagement. And I was planning not to go there, but now we're all so set. Then if you felt good, you could even take it into a little more classic pigeon. Fingertips lift up, heart lifts up, broaden out a little bit, palate slides back. Exhale, bring you forward. We're going to press it back into dog. Let all your sense organs quiet in dog. Feel the different sensation in the two sides. We're going to do that other side of Parzo and then the other side of pigeon. You're going to take your right leg, big step up. Left foot is rolling in. Of course, you're just going to do the version you did last time. So if hands stood on the floor, you're going to keep it there. If forearm came up the thigh, you're going to go there. Left hand, turn it open. Like this piece of keep coming back to the earth. Nice, you guys. Press the soles of both feet down and pull in. Just feel everything activate. Nice, nice, Lisa. Turn your heart open and maybe the arm reaches straight up. And then maybe it gets extends. This is a continuation of the line that's starting down at the outer edge of your foot. David, no matter what I say, it looks like you're playing violin. Exhale, unwind. Beautiful, you guys. Unwind. So we're just going to take care of this last little bit, this last little pigeon. You're going to step it back into dog. Pause there in dog. Sits bones lift a little bit more. And now you're stepping into that pigeon prep. So you're going to step your left knee up close to your left wrist. This hip is different, this knee is different. So as you come forward and just change that orientation, maybe just going right into kind of that more relaxed, kind of just recognizing, similar to where we started, right, with that upper back place, the upper back access. The hips and these set of hip muscles in particular can be a little more sensitive to the direct access. So we're just taking this moment to let ourselves in, remind ourselves of this pranic piece. The energy has to flow first. Remember, reminders there, heel toe in your shin bone a little more forward is what's going to take you in there, or more back. The other thing to check on here at this point would be, you might find it useful, some of it, if you feel that your back foot, your right foot is like externally rotated, turned out to the right, then turning those toes under, lifting up the knee for a moment, and actually lifting up the inseam of the leg. You'll feel how that will drop your right side sacrum down. That will set us up nicely for this next piece, which is this funny action, this squaring the hips, just like a lunge that's gone horribly wrong. You're pulling your front knee back and your back knee forward. Then you want to engage that a bit, please. Relax your head. Press into your elbows, press into your knees. Feel your core really engaged. Don't let it be jargon. This is a really good action. You're toning your psoas as you stretch it. You're opening up your hips. You're clearing up future tax issues. Bring your fingertips to the side. So a good place to work, being my point, is, but if you're feeling good, well, if it feels right, walk yourself up into, how's this for a Sanskrit name, Ekapada Rajakopatasana, King Pigeon Pose. Exhale is bringing you forward. The folks who went there, we are one more time pressing back, table to dog. Press back to dog. Lift your sits bones a lot. And you're either gonna inhale into plank to child's pose, or you're just gonna go right to child's pose. Take your time. Let's meet up in child's pose in a moment. Relax your brain. Wherever you are, you might find it useful, any of those three choices, to direct inhale into pelvic floor, feeding strength, directing the energy of willpower into earth, into steadiness, into trust and safety and home. Letting the exhale be a reminder of the resource of heart. That will probably be more available in child's pose than plank. Slide on up, yogis. A kneeling position can be, you could also do this standing, but I meant to work it in earlier, full disclosure. But we're just gonna do a quick little thing with the strap. We're just gonna give our pecs a little stretch and then this little wacky shoulders thing. Let me know if anything's not working, folks. It's a little bit of a surreal experience. I'm still getting used to all you guys getting turned into two-dimensional squares. And just the dramatic ability to look right into your houses. It's really, from here, you guys, you probably know where I'm going, is just good all. And especially if you're standing, but everybody, is if you're standing, this tendency for everything to want to pop out is going to be a little more obvious. So that's, no matter which version you're doing, is hands go, well, just a reminder, is on the pec part of the stretch, is the wider your hands go, the less intense the pec, the stretch is going to be across the chest, the narrower the more. So that's one key relationship. So have that in mind. Pull the strap a little tauter and take your hands forward, pull your ribs in, so that you can keep the ribs in and take your head back. Strap is toned, and then we're going through the range of motion, the ideal being that the ribs are not popping each time, that the core is just stable. There should also be, or maybe a better way to say that would be, it would be a good place to tune into that the movement in the shoulders is smooth. So if there's kind of a jerk or you're kind of pulling yourself across a tight spot, we're probably crossing that sukha, that quality of working with or ease. Yeah, and we're just working that a little bit. And I'm going to invite you to turn off your devices. That's me. And I'm going to invite you just to pause at the point of most tension. If you're feeling some numbness in your hand, it's because your pecs are putting pressure on your brachial artery, and it's not that big of a deal. It actually means that we could loosen up the pecs a bit, but just get out of here. In fact, let's all get out of here. Shake it out a little bit. And this next one is a little bit of just a quick little detour for a few. It's good for all of the shoulders in the group, but a few of the folks who I'm working with individually, I just want to remind them of this one. This is go back to that I mentioned a little bit earlier that, well, I'm just calling it the Trina Altman work, but it's really like kind of modern physiology right now. Anyway, it's kind of an awkward one. You're going to hold the strap a little bit wider than your shoulders. You're going to pull it tight, and actually this is not the particularly, you're going to awkward one. The next one's the awkward one, although this has a nice level of awkwardness. So the idea is you're keeping the strap pretty close to you, or the strap in the same plane, and you're just making these funny circles, and you're pulling the strap pretty tight. And then you're going to reverse these circles. So this is that same idea. We're just getting out of the habitual patterns of the shoulders and just taking them into places where they don't normally go. Turns out, Maybe it doesn't feel like it with our current situation, but physiologically, every layer of us needs stress or forces into the body. Let that go, yogis. And then here, similar idea. So you're going to take the hands in the same way now, palms are turned forward. Both of these, the palm turning, we're not going to do it just for the sake of time, but just changes the forces a little bit. So if you have time and you're working with this, then just give yourself some different hand holds. This is the one for me anyway that's a little more awkward. Is just going to make this spinning action now down low. And just kind of feeling the range of motion, feeling the places where it's a little more stuck, noticing how the upper arm bones want to respond. And no right or wrong here, just taking a moment just to observe. It's easy to give these hard-working parts grief, but they really are that. Think of what all of these remarkably different systems give us. So we're reversing the circles now. We'll just do a couple more of those. And let that go. That was our quick little shoulder detour. We are moving into some quieter practice. What would be great for our next piece is, and it doesn't necessarily, I get that this might be logistically challenging, what would be great for what we've done and where we're going to go for this next practice would be doing some version of what's called vipratikrani, of waterfall pose, but basically it means the legs up the wall. So if that's not practical, there's really not going to be much to see. So if it takes you away from a good view of your screen, I think you'll be fine. But other things that could work for that would just be like a chair. Because the ideal is definitely going to be legs up the wall with your butt on the floor and something underneath your sacrum. But other versions that might be more practical for your setup is going to be just a chair where your thighs can be pretty much on the vertical. And the shut. So let's, I know that was a quick change of pace. So let's take a moment to set that up. And just for practical reasons, like the coming out of the vipratikrani, I'm going to do like a kind of a little bit of a traditional sequence for pelvic floor access, which certainly fits with our. But if you're not against the wall, just kind of ignore all that bit and you can just stay with the legs on the chair. Well, I'm seeing lots of feet up in the air, so that's a good sign. Cool, yogis. All right. My mind was a little bit on getting this set up. So also what you might want to do is, although if you're all set, you could just drop because really where we're going, but I just felt like I rushed us there. So if you need an apanasana or need to take a moment to integrate that shoulder stuff or knees to chest or anything, take a moment. But we're really going back to where we started, of course, which is usually the way this class works to some degree, or often anyway. So you're in the version of vipratikrani that works for you, and you know, of course, you're not stuck here. In fact, that little ending sequence is just the Baddha Konasana, right? So, and it can just be helpful if legs become numb or a distraction. Not that you're not completely free just to slide out into Shavasana. That's where this is heading. But the other technique is just bringing the soles of your feet together and letting your heels slide down the wall in like a bound angle pose with your knees are wide. And so that can be, you could stay there, but you could also just kind of give yourself a break. So just on some of the practicalities of being in this form. Also double check, if I was in class with you, I don't have the best opportunity in our current circumstance, I would be checking in on lumbar spines. So if you can set it, doesn't have to be perfect by any means, but if your hamstrings are a little bit tighter, taking your butt just a little bit further away from the wall can make a big difference, because if we can have even a little bit of concave shape in the low back, as many of you are very aware, it actually changes the shape of your pelvis. Sets your femurs. Structure dictates function. Awesome, you guys. So just take a breath into the space you occupy. And of course, know you're not stuck. But once you found your form, the intention is going to be physically still. So as opposed to a fidget, you just make a conscious adjustment. Eyes are closed, downward gaze into heart. There's a little bit of space between your teeth. Your lips are touching but not pressing. And just allow your brow to be broad with relaxation. Feel the weight of your sacrum and seats. Try less. Enjoy the power and gift of inhale, moving down into your pelvic floor. This nurturing nectar, fortifying and strengthening, just filling you. Take your time. Exhale is just moving up towards heart. Chakras are unique to this tradition, and they are said to be made up of tattva, of elements, of prana, of energy, and chitta, consciousness. And so they have this psychological component, this elemental component, and this energetic component. The chakra that we're accessing at pelvic floor at your earth center is Muladhara. Feel those qualities, and just opening to not creating something new. You're just activating and opening the resource that is in fact always operating. This energy of earth and strength and safety. Muladhara chakra at pelvic floor. And here we're going to trust in the fire a little bit, and we're going to kind of bounce between earth and movement or heart. And so exhale is just taking you right up into heart. Just feeling and enjoying that expanding freedom, the buoyance, all the expressions of that resource, this deepest truth, this spiritual center. And so the technique piece is similar to what we were working last week on the same practice. Is we're going to begin to extend exhale here. So if you're doing the count, the idea here, and the count you definitely want to do if mind is a little more spun up. But if you're more familiar with this, the intention can often be useful, just perfect. That intention being, or that little bit of more structure of the count, would be if your inhale down into pelvic floor is a 6, you're going to not exhale more, you're going to exhale longer by making it a 9. So about half as long on exhale. Opening to the resources of earth and sky, or earth and love. exhale is slower and sweeter. The directions are still the same. So now you'll find as you get comfortable with this longer, quieter exhale, that its journey up towards the heart is extended. In fact, it might even be moving past heart into throat. Both try less and stay with it. And now, assuming you are in just a really quiet place, in a really peaceful place, you're just going to add a pause about half as long as the inhale after the exhale. So if we stay with my ratios of an inhale of 6 in the pelvic floor, an effortless exhale of 9 up to throat, then you're just going to pause for a count of 3. And remember, it's a kumbhak. It's completely as peaceful as can be, no strain, which means that when the inhale is ready to happen, and this is important, it is just as quiet, just as sweet as it was before you added the pause. Present to the power of earth and heart, in the most gentle way, just surfing these beautiful currents of life. Remember and enjoying you are the source of peace. this point, you are welcome to stay right in the practice you're in now. The other option would be to quietly, and you could actually you could slip out of the practice and stay in the pose. The other option would be to just shift out of the pose and move into a more traditional Shavasana. Oh, the folks who want to shift and just give themselves a couple minutes after all of this internal doing and focus, and let themselves have the practice fully of letting go, go ahead and make that physical shift, or just stay where you are and be. Remember, you could come out by bringing the soles of your feet together and just sliding the heels down to where they want to stop. Let that be a little bus stop as you take a breath in the pelvic floor. Bring your knees together and just roll to a side. The folks who are moving into Shavasana, whether you're moving or not, just before you let go, just connect to the resource of earth as embodied in your pelvic floor, Muladhara, the resource of fire as willpower, navel center at the spine, your true X power, the resource that is heart, forgiveness, compassion, empathy, love. And as an open vessel for these gifts, you simply let go. Anybody who's still in the meditation practice, just complete the round you're on. And just give yourself permission to be. What's the qualities of support? What's the environment, the context that you need to be the best person you can? To move from your heart, to honor the fear, but not be pulled around by it. What's this opportunity in this journey of you? What's available right now? Remember your breath. Remember your heart. Feel the power in your belly. Feel the whole earth supporting you. Feel yourself supported. Feel the connections to the gift of self. Feel the connections to each other in this challenging time. I invite you to take a fuller breath into the whole experience of you and try on gratitude for all the experiences that have brought you here. Continue to feed that warmth of gratitude as you stretch out through fingers and toes. Bring your feet flat. No rush at all, of course. Whatever your best version, and a few of us are going to be pretty crawny. I'm just going to let you guys take care of yourselves. The knees draw up whenever you're ready. Whatever your favorite version of exiting Shavasana, of course, is fine. Can be nice to roll to a side, of course, and just kind of give yourself that little bus stop. Let your heart adjust. Consciously choose not to bounce out of here, but choose to stay connected to the sweetness, to this inner resource that you've been accessing, remembering and fortifying. Try turning your heart a little bit more towards the floor so you can use both hands to press yourself up. And we did a lot of meditating today, but we didn't do much sitting, which we often sit in here. So we'll just close our practice. You press yourself up. Don't get too carried away. We'll just take a moment for a little quiet breath, quiet mind. Just come back to a nice steady seat that embodies these qualities, these gifts. And as you get there, just allow your breath to be really quiet and your body still. Quiet breath, quiet mind. Quiet breath, quiet mind. Palms bring us back to source, to destination. Anjali Mudra, the seal of offering. Let's just turn inside. One more time, we give thanks. To our friends on the path, we say namaste. Namaste, yogi.